What's up, everybody? Welcome to Trust and Believe. Today, I'm talking about energy, specifically how I get my energy. Now, before you judge, I will tell you that I just woke up from a nap, and it's pretty ironic that I'm giving a podcast on where I get my energy from, especially when I just woke up from a nap. And so before we begin, I have a question for you. Do you take a full lunch break? I know that this sounds, a silly question. But do you take a full lunch break? Meaning, do you get on your phone? Do you do extra work for your job during lunch? Or do you actually sit down and take a break? And the reason why I ask you that is because years ago when I went to Tokyo, I went twice. One of the things that I learned was that the Japanese people really pushed for their society to take naps, and they actually had pods. Now, I know a lot of people know about pods now in various places, like napping pods, but they had them so long ago. Japan even had FaceTime back then. But anyway, one of the things that they were well ahead of us with was having napping pods. They were really big on not just health, but your sleep health, and they were really big in technology, and they were really big in the experiences that you had when you came to their country. But anyway, I digress. The one reason that we're here today is to talk about how Shaun T keeps up that energy to be doing dancing and posting and fitness and whatever. But I just woke up from a nap, so it's the perfect time for me to tell you, because I am not afraid to take a nap at lunchtime. Get ready to trust and believe in the energy.
Somebody say hell yeah!
No? What's up? He's better than Oprah. Come on, y'all.
This is Shaun T, and it's time to trust and believe. Alright, y'all, I'm back. Okay, so just in case I didn't introduce myself, my name is Shaun T. If this is your first time listening, sometimes on these Fridays, I just like to have a little conversation with y'all, like if we were in a car together, or if we were hanging out at your house and you were trying to watch a movie and I was going to be the one interrupting you, because I just like to talk. It's what I do best. That's how I actually expend a lot of my energy, but not expenditure in terms of expending to be tired. It's a lot of how I expend my energy, because the first thing I want to talk about is my energy comes from my creativity. So for people out there who are very creative like me, your brain never stops. And when your brain never stops, you can sit in that silence, or you can let it out. So for me, because I'm very creative, I let my creativity out. It can come out by talking a lot to Scott, who's the exact opposite of me. He can go all day without talking to anybody if he doesn't have to. The other way is dancing. I mean, if I hear a song in my head and I feel like it needs choreography, I'll choreograph to it before I even listen to the music. So that's another way I use my internal creativity to create external energy. And another way that I use my energy is, and this is like very interesting, and a lot of people don't notice about me, I do not like sitting at a computer. I despise it. I did it for years. When I graduated college, I worked in three corporate settings. One was a nuclear power plant. The other one was, and two other ones were pharmaceutical companies in different campuses. And I remember a lot of my job was sitting at the computer doing, spreadsheets or, just like flyers and stuff. And I really enjoyed doing the live events, like the teaching of the classes, the being on the floor with people that needed support and help and talking to them. The best way for me to utilize my energy is by moving, not sitting. Now, I want to say this, in no way, shape, or form am I judging you. If you're somebody out there that's like, no, Shaun T, I really, really, really enjoy silence, sitting at my computer, or whatever the case may be. I actually appreciate that and I respect it. It's the complete opposite of me, and it's totally fine. I think what's most important about your energy expenditure is that you utilize it in the way that best suits you. Meaning, if silence is the best way for you to release your energy because it's a way for you to connect to what's happening in the present, then do it. For me, I just have a strong desire to act on my emotions, to act on my creativity, to act on what I'm thinking. I cannot sit still. However, there comes a point when I crash, like when I take my nap at my lunchtime. It can be only 10 minutes. Sometimes it's 7 minutes. Sometimes it's 22 minutes. It's never on a zero. It's never a round number. But I know when it's time for me to crash, and I do it, and I listen to my body. Just like I listen to my body when the creativity is percolating inside of me, I listen to my body when it's time for me to take a nap. So I just want to let you know that the best way to utilize your energy is by utilizing it in the way that your body is telling you to. Now, when it comes to working out, I think some people may be like, I don't have the energy. And sometimes the reason you don't have the energy to work out is because of what you're saying to yourself. For instance, when I'm about to work out, I 100% tell myself it's time to work out now, and I'll put myself in a state in which I know I want to perform at a high level. So I was an athlete. I ran track. I was a dancer. I was a professional dancer. I professionally danced. And so if I don't feel like working out, I immediately put myself in a game day situation. I'm like, well, you want to work out, because if you don't work out, you're going to feel like X later. So then I say, all right, you're going into a race. And then I get that like jittery feeling, not necessarily nervous, but that nervous energy, if you will. And I'm like, okay. And I just like train my mind to say, this is what I have to do to here and now. Now, if I didn't sleep that well the night before because of the kids, then I'm just fucked. And I'm like, you know what? You just need to pull up. If I've overtrained days before, then I know my energy doesn't necessarily need to go into working out. It may need to go into something like stretching or eating healthy. So it's just, I wanted to explain that I always like to give you both sides. If you are a person that has a hard time working out, I don't want to just say, well, you're lazy if you don't want to work out, because it could be that your body is drained and you can't. But I think a lot of times it comes down to, are we motivated to work out? And if we have the energy and we're not motivated, we have to go into our minds and figure out a place in which we feel inspired and motivated. And a lot of that inspiration and motivation comes from things that have happened in your past, or experiences that you have done in your past. If you were in theater, act like you're about to go on stage and perform in a show or a musical. If you were in a spelling bee, I know this is like, sounds really silly, but you have to train your mind to go to a place in which maybe in the past that you were ready to perform, and then it gets kind of like your juices flowing. It's kind of like Pavlov and a dog. When that bell rings, the dog's tongue salivates. If I watch track and field, or if I watch tennis on YouTube right before I work out, I'm like, all I need to turn on is a little bit of Serena and I'm in it. I'm ready to go. So that's just some general basic ways on how I utilize my energy. But what's really interesting today is, a lot of you know Sam Knight. He's my assistant at Shaun Inc. And this is a question that he's wanted answered for a very long time. He's like, how in the hell do you have so much energy? Because he said that one time we came back from a trip. I believe we came back from a trip, and we probably landed at 11:30 at night. And I know I wasn't getting to sleep till probably 12:30 or 1. And I was like, I'll see you in the morning. And he's like, what? You're going to see me in the morning? Do you know what time it is? But I don't even think about the fact that I'm not going to get a lot of sleep. I think about the fact that I'm excited about what tomorrow brings. So he's asked a couple questions here, and I think that's really cool. I'm actually going to read them out loud and then answer them for you guys. So the first question that was asked to me was, how do you have the energy to be creative each day and every day while also being a parent and running a business? So I kind of answered that one before, which is when the creative juices start flowing to me, I don't necessarily have a choice. I really don't have a choice. My energy's like, oh my gosh, this is what you're thinking about, this is what you're feeling. Even before I talked about dancing, but even down to, I'm not sure if any of you follow me on social media, but if you follow me on social media, there's a couple posts that I did where I clone myself. And if I think of something creative video wise that involves a message, I feel like I can put it in like a movie format or a post format. Then I get so creative in my mind. I will go get the app. I will go create the choreography. I will go dance it out. I will give the message. And so that creativity really drives me forward. And again, a lot of it involves movement, but a lot of it involves kind of like a picture. Like, I really believe that my creativity allows me to create a picture, which in turn enhances the story that I have that's in my mind. And I think it's interesting. It would be like a director or a writer, a screenplay writer or whatever, coming up with something and they're not acting on it, even if it was a really great idea. If I have the bandwidth to act on it, I'm going to do it. So, but then when it comes to being a parent, I think parenting is very tough. Both Scott and I, we kind of like, again, I use the athlete thing, and I don't want to overuse the athlete thing, but that's where Scott and I meet. He was an athlete, I was an athlete. So if it's really hard and really crazy that day, we jump into competition zone. We say it's us against the twins, and that is actually really fun sometimes because we give a high five to time out. He'll go in the room, he'll be like, you got this, and he can either work or take a nap or whatever, and then vice versa. And we've learned what we're both really good at. I'm really good at being creative and playing with the boys and, you know, just coming up with like different things to get what we want in terms of like the creative way to communicate with them. And Scott is really good at preparing everything for them, the food, making sure their bag is set if we're going out. He's really good at the laundry and all that stuff, and I'm just good at like the energetic hype stuff. Like, I don't mind running around with them, but it also switches sometimes. So being a parent, I think having, I say, the luck and joy of being with a spouse that wants to parent the same way, or at least find ways to utilize each other's energy so we're not extremely exhausted, it really helps. And for single parents out there, I think you can kind of utilize some of those same things, but just know when to tap out, you know when to ask for help and know when to tap out. So that really helps with parenting. And then running a business, again, it's the same thing. You know, one of the things that Beachbody used to say, and when we had DVDs out, I think either in the beginning of before you press play to your workout or right after you press play to your workout, at the end, they would say, we won't let you fail. And I'm just not in the business of failing. I'm not in the business of thinking that something can fail. And I'm not going to say that sometimes I'm not a complaining Raymond when it comes to my business. You know, sometimes I complain, sometimes I'm exhausted, but it's less about physical exhaustion a lot of times. A lot of times it's mental exhaustion, but a lot of times it's just, you know, it could be frustration that will allow the negative thoughts in, which will deplete my energy. Because you do know that if you allow, the minute you start allowing negative thoughts in your mind is the minute it's a wrap. You just you're going down a ski slope and you're in a very steep one. Not saying that doesn't happen to me all the time, or at all, and it does, but I just know when to press on the brakes and just say, what is it that I want? What is the goal? And how do I push? All while being extremely mindful of how I need to replenish my energy, which goes back to the nap that I just took. Okay, so the next question we have is, where does your drive come from that keeps you pushing every single day? And this is where Sam says, I remember one time we got back from a trip on a Sunday night and you were like, I see you in the morning. And I was like, not realizing that it means to grind every single day. Drive and motivation come from a lot of different places. I think it comes from some negative places, but I also think it comes from some positive places. The negative places, so I remember having chores as a child and cleaning the yard, which was one of my chores, was cleaning the yard and taking out the trash. And I remember doing it so well, like to the point where I would rake the dirt so that it was perfect. And if you read my book, you know I had this step monster, and he would still find something that was terribly wrong with what I did. And I still have some internal like suffering from that today, but it's kind of annoying when I think about it. But one of the positive things that I took from that is like double check, triple check, and you know, just make sure it's the best that it can be. For instance, and I think this is a funny story. So you all, if you don't know, Alex Colorillo, she produces this podcast, to be quite honest with you, and our events manager and production for Shaun Inc. And she's been with us for a long time, but she started working for Scott and I in 2012, and the first event that she put together was actually our wedding, which was amazing. And so now sometimes she'll say, are you in wedding mode? Because I just have this thing where I always want to make something better and better and better and better and better, to the point where she now says that this is better and this better is enough. And while I think a lot of it comes from my drive and motivation, I think also comes from the not so great experience of having a really tough upbringing and never being good enough. But I don't carry the pressure of that now. I actually know when to stop and say, okay, that is enough. But it does give me a sort of drive and motivation to literally cross my T's and dot my I's. And just talking about being in a grind every day, I feel like if you set out to do something, and hear me out here, if you set out to do something, one, it should be something that you really want to do. I mean, some things you need to do and you don't have a choice, right? But things that you set out to do in terms of your career, your fitness, your nutrition, your relationships, dating. When you set out to do something that you want to do, you should give it your all. Do the best that you can do, or you don't need to be doing it. You should really want to do it. Your career, you should really want to do it. If you're listening to this and you're about to go to school, you should really want to be in that major. I know a lot of people who went to college and they majored in something because their parents wanted them to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. And if you don't really want to do it, it's not going to be done to the best of your ability. And you just have to open your mind in terms of the everyday grind to, obviously, first, like I said, you have to want to do it. Secondly, you have to want to learn. Third, you have to want to hustle. And fourth, you have to want to go above and beyond almost every single day. And I don't mean above and beyond like check it 33 times. I'm saying go above and beyond that. When you set out to start something, a project, just make sure you are in a headspace where you know you're giving it your all at that moment. And that's just what I believe the grind is. Because if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Because why try to provide falsities, right? Why am I going to do something that I don't want to do? It's never going to come across authentic. It's never going to come across to anybody in a way in which it can be inspiring. And so I think it's very important for you to sit back and ask yourself, is what I'm doing every day when I wake up the thing that I want to do? Or am I finding a way to make it benefit my future, right? Because again, we're not going to want to do everything, but it should be a high percentage of what you're doing should lead the thing that you love to do. So that's really important. So the next question is, do you do anything that fills up your energy? Like fitness, nutrition, mindset, being around your family, alone times. Interesting. I love being alone. Believe it or not, while you see me being crazy and wild and with friends, I love being by myself. It is, and I love it even more now that I'm a parent, because those times that I get to be by myself, I just get to think and be in my own head and exercise my creativity. Obviously, nutrition wise, I fill up my energy that way. I try to eat things that are either fun, like donuts on a Friday, but things that don't make me sluggish and feel bad. In terms of fitness, I work out every day, and I would do the workouts that I provide to you. 99.99% of the time, my workouts are something that I've told you to do, be it one of my programs, or if it's tennis, or if someone else, another trainer comes out with a program, I'll do that, out of support, because I love supporting. But the way you work out with my workouts is how I like to work out, and I stick to that. But I also create a lot of different workouts. I have so many workouts in my vault. I could bring out a new workout every year until I'm like 59 years old right now. Not going to do that. But, so yeah, the other things that prior to pandemic, Scott would send me away to my favorite vacation spot by myself where I could play tennis and sleep and watch Netflix or listen to podcasts and read a book. And I would have 2 days all by myself. Before the pandemic, I would also get 2 or 3 massages a week, because I would love to obviously get a massage and then just being in a spa, the hot tub, the steam room, the shower, the relaxation zone, spend 45 minutes to an hour just kind of like floating around. Absolutely amazing and so fulfilling and refreshing to me. And then before I had kids and before my business really started to take off, I would dance every single day. I would take a dance class every single day of my life. I was dancing. This is after I was a professional dancer, because dancing just fills my soul in a way that you cannot believe. I know a lot of people, it's like yoga and meditation, but for me, I love yoga, I love meditation, but when I leave a dance class, I feel like I have no worries in the world. Zero. It is so just unbelievably fulfilling and amazing to me. So those are the things I like to do to fill myself up. Now in the pandemic, it really just comes down to having alone time. And like I said, I make a priority to take a lunch break now. I take a full hour where I'm not answering an email, answering a text message about work. I even tell them, I'm taking an hour. This is my hour and that is it. And I keep saying that because I feel like each and every day you should take time to take an hour or whatever your lunch break is and put everything away. I even try not to scroll on social media. I try to either turn on something that my mind is just floating so I can relax, and I really let go of what it is that I have to do to make money or something. The last question: what would you say to someone trying to find their way to up their energy levels each day on a consistent basis? Someone who wants to get more done, live out loud, and just live a little more. So I think a lot of times at least this was me when I was younger, I think a lot of times the reason why we feel like we fall short of energy is because we're trying to do too much. So if you have all these things that are taking up your mental real estate, it's really hard to focus on what it is that you really want to do every day. Because if you're doing something that you love every day, and I'm going to be very clear, some people say, do what you love to do and, the money doesn't matter. And I'm like, no, it does. It does. However, you should still be doing something every day that fills up your energy. You should just try to find that one thing that fills up your energy, because if you're scattered in different directions and you're not finding an everyday focus to fill up your energy, then you're going to be more depleted than you were if you were just doing everything that you hated. Right? So even if I wanted to dance, if I wanted to dance, go to a dance class, if I wanted to go to choir rehearsal, because I love to sing too, if I wanted to play with my kids, if I wanted to have a massage, if I wanted to do all these things and I try to do all of them, it wouldn't be fulfilling. I would still be drained. So even in my times where I want to fill up my energy, I really focus on doing one thing. I don't try to take a dance class and go to the spa and do all these other things on top of, my work, providing for my family, giving enough energy and love to my relationship. So if you find yourself going in different directions, even when they're going in the directions of things that you love, you can still find your energy being extremely depleted. for me, and this is something I can reveal to you all in a little bit, I'm about to go into a point in my life where I'm about to get really busy. And so I'm already thinking, where do I need to scale back so that my energy, even though I'm going after things that I really want to do, my energy stays completely intact? Because if my energy is not intact, then nothing's going to be done at 100%. So I hope that was good for you. I don't like to take too much of your time, because I know you are all very busy people and you're doing the best that you can do. And I think that's where I'll close with this episode. Your energy comes from your internal self. If you could have a projector screen and everything that you thought would just show up on this screen, on this like white projector screen, I ask you, what would you pull from that projector screen that's going to give you clarity, that's going to give you energy, that's going to give you hope, that's going to give you positivity, that's going to give you love and give you joy? Because if the things that are showing up on this projector screen is causing you stress or bringing you down, these are things that you want to figure out, how do I eliminate these things so that I can really take all of those other things and I can put them in a pocket where I can pull them out one at a time and learn how to enjoy them. Because doing things that you enjoy, being with people that you enjoy, taking time for yourself each and every day, having a focus, those things are going to be the things that keep your energy level on 100. If you are spreading yourself too thin, burning the candles at both ends, like I used to do, because I used to think I could do it all, your energy level is going to be extremely depleted. And nobody wants depleted energy. Everyone wants to continue to fuel their energy with positive thoughts and positive things that they're doing every single day. So I urge you to throw those thoughts up on that projector screen or write them down on a piece of paper. Circle the things that make you feel really good about yourself, and make sure that they're also things that you can act on and that really bring you positive energy and joy. And if you do that, you'll find your way to better energy. Thank you for listening to Trust and Believe. Please leave a review. My podcast team, Alex Colorillo, Todd Midget, Steve Armato from Lark Media NYC, all appreciate and love you all listening and what you're doing every day with the reviews and sharing these podcast episodes to make us bring you more fun, loving podcasts to help you to continue to trust and believe in who you are. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.